If I ask you to name some of your regrets when you are young, I'm sure you can name a few, whether it's failing to ask your crush out and he or she ended up getting snatched away by your best friend, or you regretted staying up all night playing video games instead of studying and ended up failing a crucial exam. Whatever those regrets are, you'll eventually get over them. But there's another kind of regret that really sticks with you for a long time and in fact gets worse as the years go by. And I would like to share a story of mine that can hopefully help and ensure you won't experience it. Because for me, this regret that I'm feeling is beginning to haunt me more as time passes. When I was really young, I remember being really attached to my parents like every 5-year-old kid. They would hold my hands whenever we are outside, and I would panic like crazy if I got lost in the mall. There was this one time when I was on a cruise with my family. We were walking around, exploring the huge cruise while I held onto my parents' hands. I can't remember exactly whether I was holding onto my mom or dad, but as I was getting distracted looking out at the scenery, I suddenly found myself walking alone, with my parents nowhere in sight. I couldn't remember it exactly, but my mom told me many years later that I was crying out like crazy for them, which was no surprise since I was only a child. As I grew much older into my teens, with puberty and all, a period where we all start to have our first crush, I started to become more self-conscious and began overthinking on what others would think of me. I may not be that interested in a certain toy at first, but because of peer pressure and wanting to be among the cool kids, I felt a need to have what they have so that I wouldn't be left out. It was also a period where being independent is pretty much a flex. You don't want to be that guy or girl that's still being coddled by your parents like you're in kindergarten, having them fetch you to school and wait for you outside the school gate to fetch you home. You want to be independent. You want to show your friends that you're all grown up and can stand on your own 2 feet. And that was what I felt when I was in school. My dad used to fetch me to school with his car before he goes to work. So there was this one time, our school organized a small open reception in the canteen in the early morning before school officially starts, where both parents and students could just freely go to the canteen and have some free food for breakfast. I told my dad about it, and he said he'll eat a little there when he fetched me to school before he heads to work. I told my dad that I'll most likely head straight to class, so if he wants to eat there, he'll be alone, which he was fine with it. After reaching school, I went to find my friends, and I asked them if their parents came too. All of them said no, as it was way too early, and that was when I realized that my dad was the only one that came. All of them decided to head to the canteen to eat a little before class starts, and I followed them. When we arrived at the canteen, there were mostly students, and in a distance, there was only one adult eating alone. It was my dad. As all my friends' parents didn't come and I was the only one, I didn't want to feel like the odd one out. I imagined a scene where all my friends started laughing and making a joke out of me while still having my parents follow me around. And I was determined to not be that kid that gets made fun of all year round. With that determination to not get embarrassed by my dad, I hid behind my friends, praying that my dad doesn't spot me. And when my friends asked if anyone knew him, I stayed quiet. I could see that he was looking around, trying to spot me, and after a while without success, he left. After becoming much older and seeing my dad's hair slowly turning white, memories like this starts coming back to haunt me. A part of me wished that I would have just ignored my friends and just walked to my dad and sit with him. And this part of me grew bigger and bigger as the years go by, and I started to wonder why I even cared so much what my friends thought of me. Those friends that I hung out with back then, I've not talked to any of them in years and had no idea what they are doing currently, and will probably continue to be that way. But my dad is currently still with me, and a part of me that I don't want to admit knew that he wouldn't be around forever. I wish that I could have done it differently back then and let him watch me grow up on a closer level and make him happy. Maybe if I've done that, our relationship now would have been much different. But what's done was done, and I should just look forward and work on things that I can still change. We aren't exactly that close now, and we will most likely grow even further apart once I start my own family. But I'll try to work on smaller ways to change that while I still can. I think it's just funny how we want to stay as close as possible to our parents when we are a kid, never having them leave our side. And when we are in our teens, we want them to be as far away from us as possible. And now when we are grown adults, we let circumstances such as starting a family and climbing the corporate ladder pull us even further away from our family. And when they are gone, we wish that we could go back to how it used to be when we were still a kid, which could have been the way right from the start instead of going this one big round. If you are still in your teens and you're feeling like how I used to, wanting to be independent, wanting to show your friends that you are no longer a child, I get you. It's not easy to ignore what others say and to just stop overthinking because someone else on the internet tells you to stop. But what I can tell you are my perspectives after getting over that phase. That at the end of the day, what others think of you and all doesn't even matter one bit. I don't even know what those friends that I used to hang out with are even doing right now, or whether they are even still in Singapore. In fact, I don't plan to and most likely never see them ever again. All those worries and overthinking became so meaningless in the grand scheme of things. And what I am facing right now, which could be you in the future, is a period where we are trying to salvage and make amendments that could have been avoided completely in the first place. Does our family come first or our friends? Could we have both of them? Sure, definitely. Nothing is impossible. If your friends want you to choose them over your family, they aren't your friends. It goes much deeper. I hope that you can see where I'm coming from. And I know it won't be easy to change overnight after what some internet guy has told you. But I hope that you can see the point that I'm trying to bring across and to not make the same mistakes that I've made. You can still change for yourself and most importantly, to those that you truly care about.